You know that feeling, right? You're standing in front of your closet, it's full of clothes, but you have absolutely nothing to wear. It's that classic morning struggle, a simple little battle that kicks off the day before you've even had a sip of coffee.
Okay, so let's just picture this for a second. Someone, somewhere, is looking in the mirror and thinking, yep, this is the one. The striped shirt with the checkered sweater topped off with the lucky sandals. It's a bold choice. A real case of where good intentions just kind of go off the rails.
And that really gets us into our first little story here. It's something we can all probably relate to. That daily fashion dilemma. I mean, on the surface, it's such a simple problem, but man, can it be frustrating.
So what's going on here, really? Well, you've got stripes, right? These clean lines all moving in one direction. And then you throw in checkers, a grid of squares going every which way. When you put them together, it's just a lot. It's too much for our eyes to process, and that's exactly why it's a classic what not to wear moment.
But then, thankfully, a solution appears. A second opinion comes in and just cuts right through all that confusion. Instead of that chaotic pattern-on-pattern mess, the suggestion is a nice silk tie and some classic corduroy pants. Simple, elegant. Problem solved.
And really, this whole thing just boils down to fashion sense. It's that skill, the ability to see how different things can work together to create a look that just works. It's an external problem, and it has a pretty clear external solution. But not all battles are quite that simple.
And now we're going to make a pretty sharp turn. We're moving away from a challenge you can see in the mirror to an internal battle that no one else can see at all.
So for this 38-year-old woman, her morning doesn't start with choosing an outfit. It starts with this, a sharp, intense pain that she says feels like a physical weapon inside her head. Her struggle isn't about how she looks, it's about just getting through the moment.
And it wasn't just a headache. It was a complete overload of her senses. Think about it. The smell of coffee, the clink of a spoon, even the simple, innocent questions from her kids. Every little thing became a source of pain.
So of course, the next step is to find a solution. And just like with the fashion dilemma, the first hope is for something simple. A straightforward fix that can just make it all go away. The doctor figures it's stress-induced, and the plan seems pretty logical. You take one pill to deal with the physical part, and you do yoga, meditation, and breathing to handle the cause. It sounds like a clear path forward, right? A real promise of relief.
And she went all in. For a full week, she did everything she was told to do, rolled out the yoga mat, practiced her breathing, took the pill every single day. But this wasn't like the fashion problem, the simple fix. It just didn't work. The pain was still there, this constant, awful companion.
This is where the story really takes a turn, because when that first simple solution fails, the search for relief gets way more complicated. And the supposed cure, well, it starts to become a whole new problem.
So what was the response to the first pill not working? Well, more pills. One for the stress, another for nervous feelings, and a third one just so she could get some sleep. That simple solution was quickly turning into a whole complex chemical cocktail.
And with all that new medication came a whole new set of problems. The original pain was still there, but now it was joined by these awful side effects from the treatment itself. Her hands started shaking, she felt slow and foggy, and just disconnected from her own body.
And it got to the point where it was obvious to the people around her, too. Her husband finally said what she was probably already fearing. The medicine wasn't just not helping, it was actually making things worse. And this leads her to this terrifying, really isolating question. She feels completely trapped. The pain is obviously real, but the treatment for the pain is creating a totally different kind of sickness. She doesn't even know anymore where the illness ends and the side effects begin. And maybe the most heartbreaking part of all is how this internal battle started to have these very visible external consequences. Her daughter asks her this simple, innocent question, and it just shows the deep emotional toll this was taking on her whole family. They didn't just miss her being healthy, they missed her joy. So what happens when there is no simple cure? The last part of her story isn't about getting healed. It's about finding a new, really difficult way to move forward. A way to live alongside the pain. And this just captures her new reality so perfectly. On one side, you have the plan. Small, simple actions she can take. Go for a walk, write something down, rest. But on the other side, that shadow is always there. The box of pills on the counter, the pain that never fully leaves, and that constant underlying fear.
But, and this is so important, she wasn't
completely alone. The real healing, it turned out, wasn't going to be found in a bottle. It was found in these little moments of human connection. A nurse suggesting therapy, a friend telling her to celebrate small wins, her husband just being there with a cup of tea. That became her real medicine.
And this is such a key point. This is not a story about her dramatically throwing the pills away and being cured. It's a story about management. That box of pills is a constant presence, a symbol of her ongoing day-by-day negotiation with her illness.
And her own words just sum it all up. There's a real victory in being able to walk to the shop, but that victory exists right alongside the truth that she is not healed. It's about learning to hold both joy and pain at the very same time.
And that really leaves us with this final powerful question. When a simple fix just isn't an option, we have to completely redefine what success looks like. Maybe it's not always about finding a cure. Maybe, sometimes, it's about finding the courage to just live, right there in that space between the small wins and the heavy shadows that stay with us.